All right, so want to get better at English? We're doing a deep dive today.
Deep dive. Nice.
Yeah. Into this episode of the Real Life English podcast called 15 Ways to Learn English.
Okay.
But we're not going to just go through the list.
Right.
We're going to really break down why this stuff actually works.
I like it.
Yeah, buckle up, get ready. It's going to be a wild ride.
Let's go.
So first things first.
Yeah.
Active versus passive learning, right? What's the difference?
Right, yeah. Huge difference.
So passive learning, I think of it as just kind of absorbing the language in the background.
Yeah.
So watching a movie with English subtitles on.
Okay.
You're kind of picking up the sounds.
Yeah.
You're picking up the rhythm,
Right.
even if you're not getting every single word.
It's like planting a seed, You're just exposing your brain to the language.
Exactly.
Just getting familiar with it,
And that kind of leads into their very first tip in this episode, which is all about passive learning through entertainment.
Love it, yeah.
It mentions shows like Friends, The Office, Stranger Things.
Classics.
Yeah.
All great for just authentic dialogue,
Oh, yeah.
Like you pick up slang, you pick up idioms.
Oh, for sure.
Different accents,
Oh,
even
yeah.
without feeling like you're studying.
It's almost like tricking your brain into learning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like you're having fun, you're enjoying the show,
Yeah.
and you're learning at the same time.
I love that.
Yeah. It's a win-win.
So as you get more comfortable,
Yeah.
what do they suggest? Like switching to English subtitles.
Exactly. Yeah. Start with your native language, right?
All
Get
right.
comfortable.
Yeah.
And then switch to English subtitles.
Okay.
Or even
Yeah.
turn them off completely.
Wow.
See what you can understand.
And you'd be surprised how much you actually pick up.
Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like a game,
Yeah.
Slowly increasing the difficulty.
I love that.
Yeah. See how far you can push yourself.
Now, speaking of games,
Okay.
music.
Music. Huge one.
Another passive learning powerhouse.
Absolutely.
They suggest artists like Adele, Ed Sheeran
Great examples.
for their clear pronunciation.
Clear lyrics.
Yeah.
Easy to understand.
Yeah. I can see that working because their lyrics are so kitschy.
Absolutely. Get stuck in your head.
Yeah.
And then you start singing along. And then you're learning.
But here's the thing, right? This is where we go from passive to active listening.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So you can't just let the music wash over you.
No, you have to engage with it.
Gotta pay attention.
Yeah.
What do the lyrics say?
Sing along.
Let's sing along, yeah.
Force yourself to pronounce the words.
Right.
To understand the meaning.
So it's about taking that passive exposure,
Yeah.
turning it into an active learning experience.
Exactly. You got to make it active,
So I feel like that's where things like language learning apps kind of come in.
Yes. The app.
Duolingo, Babbel, Memrise, they mentioned all those.
Yeah.
What do you think about those?
I mean, they're great for the basics,
Okay.
like vocabulary, grammar, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But their real strength, I think, is the gamification.
Oh, interesting.
They make it fun,
Yeah, for sure.
They turn learning into a game.
Yeah.
Keeps you motivated.
I've tried Duolingo, and I love how
Yeah.
it rewards you for streaks and achievement.
Exactly. Keeps you coming back for more.
Makes it less of a chore, more
Right.
like a challenge.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like a little competition with yourself.
But gotta remember, these apps are tools, right?
Yeah.
They're not.
They're not a replacement for the real thing.
Exactly.
Like actually speaking the language.
Yeah.
Reading. Writing.
So reading, the podcast, emphasized that as a fundamental tool
Oh, absolutely.
for deeper understanding.
For sure.
They recommended engaging books like The Little Prince or Harry Potter.
Classics.
I feel like I learned so much vocabulary from Harry Potter,
Oh, yeah.
especially all those spells.
Yeah, all those made-up words, right?
And it's not just about the vocabulary, right?
No. It's about
Yeah.
sentence structure, grammar.
Yeah.
Like the subtle nuances of meaning.
Ooh, yeah.
It really helps you start to think in English
That's so important. Yeah.
instead of translating in your head.
They suggest starting with simple books,
Right. Ease into it.
gradually working your way up to more complex texts.
Exactly. Don't want to get overwhelmed.
Building a muscle.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
You start with lighter weights, then you gradually increase.
But while reading is great for internalizing the language, speaking practice is crucial for building confidence
Oh, absolutely.
and fluency.
You got to use it or you'll lose it.
So they recommend finding language partners
Okay.
through apps like HelloTalk or Tandem,
Great resources. Yep.
or even joining a conversation club.
Good idea.
I know for a lot of learners, speaking can be intimidating,
It could be scary.
but they emphasize that mistakes
Everyone makes mistakes.
are inevitable.
part of the process.
And actually a vital part of the learning process.
Exactly.
You have to make mistakes to learn.
You can't be afraid to mess up.
It's like learning to ride a bike.
I like that analogy.
You're going to fall a few times.
You're going to get some scrapes.
But that's how you get better.
Exactly. You learn from those falls.
So embrace those stumbles. Remember, fluency is a journey, not a destination.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
So start small.
Yeah.
Like maybe greeting people in English.
Simple things.
Gradually work your way up to longer conversations.
Exactly. You'll get there.
Okay, now they also highlighted the world of online language communities.
Oh, yeah. The online communities are great.
Like Reddit, Facebook groups, Discord.
So much support online.
Yeah.
I bet it's really encouraging to,
Yeah.
share your struggles with other people.
For sure.
Celebrate your triumphs.
Yeah.
People who are going through the same thing.
It's like a built-in support system.
Exactly.
And while we're on the topic of actively using the language,
All right.
they recommend incorporating writing into your daily routine.
Writing, yes. Very important.
So that could be journaling, composing emails,
Yeah.
even participating in social media discussions.
All good practice.
How do you think writing helps?
I think it helps solidify your grasp of grammar
Okay.
and expand your vocabulary.
Because you're actually using those words.
Exactly. You're not just passively absorbing them.
Right.
You're actively using them.
So you're putting all the pieces of the language puzzle together.
I like that. Yeah, it's like putting it all into practice.
And don't be afraid to experiment with different styles of writing.
Oh, absolutely. Try different things.
Try a short story,
Yeah.
a poem, a song.
Have fun with it.
It's a fun way to explore the creative side of language learning.
Absolutely. Let your creativity flow.
Okay, so we talked about passive absorption through entertainment. We talked about active engagement through reading, speaking, writing.
Hitting all the bases.
Now they get into some strategic techniques.
Okay, I like it.
And this is where things get interesting.
All right, let's hear it.
So they suggest focusing on learning phrases instead of isolated words.
That's interesting, yeah.
What do you think about that?
It makes sense, actually. Like,
Yeah.
we don't learn individual notes on a piano, right?
Right.
We learn chords, we learn progression.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Phrases are kind of the same way.
Okay.
They give context to words.
Yeah.
So you're not just memorizing random words.
Right.
You're understanding how they're used in context.
So it's about like giving your brain a shortcut.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
You're learning chunks of language that
Exactly.
you can readily plug into conversations.
Much more efficient.
They give the example of, I'm excited about this opportunity.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of just learning the word excited.
Right, because excited by itself
Yeah.
can mean a lot of different things.
Totally.
But when you learn it as part of a phrase,
Yeah.
you understand how to use it correctly.
It clicks.
Exactly.
And speaking of fluency,
Yeah.
pronunciation, they get into that too.
Pronunciation. The bane of many language learners' existence.
Right. So they suggest using online tools
What kind of tools?
like Forvo or Youglish
I've heard of those, yeah.
to hear how words are pronounced
Yeah.
by native speakers.
That's helpful.
I love how accessible those tools are.
Mhm.
You can literally look up any word
Yeah,
and hear it pronounced
it's amazing.
in different accents,
Yeah, it's so helpful.
especially for those tricky sounds.
Oh, tell me about it. Like
The F,
that dreaded ETH.
the silent letters.
Oh, yeah, English has a lot of those.
So I've tried this before.
What, the tools?
Yeah, like recording myself
Oh, okay.
and then comparing it to a native speaker.
How'd that go?
It can be humbling
I
that
bet.
it's so helpful.
I'm sure. Makes you aware of your own pronunciation.
But they do mention
Yeah.
pronunciation is about being understood.
Right, exactly.
It's not about being perfect. Achieving this, like unattainable level of perfection.
Because everyone has an accent.
Embrace your accent.
It's part of what makes you unique.
The goal is effective communication,
Exactly.
not sounding exactly like a native speaker.
It's about getting your message across.
And, as you're practicing pronunciation, it's not just about the individual sounds.
Right.
It's about the rhythm and intonation of the language.
The music of the language.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So pay attention to the stress patterns,
Okay.
the pauses,
Mm-hmm.
the rise and fall of your voice.
It all contributes to fluency.
Okay, so we covered like passive and active learning.
Yeah.
The importance of reading, speaking, writing,
Good stuff.
strategic techniques for learning phrases, pronunciation.
Yeah.
Now they get into this idea
Okay.
of creating an immersive English environment.
Immersion. Yes.
And this is where I feel like things get really interesting.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So They suggest surrounding yourself with the language, like changing your phone settings to English,
Oh, I like that.
listening to English podcasts
Mm-hmm.
while you commute,
Yeah.
even try to think in English.
Wow, that's a challenge.
So you're essentially creating a mini English-speaking world
Yeah, like you're tricking your brain
around you.
into thinking you're in an English-speaking country.
Exactly. It's like constant low-level exposure. Your
Yeah.
brain is constantly absorbing the language.
Even when you're not consciously studying.
So it's almost like hacking the learning process.
It's a smart strategy.
So you don't have to, like,
You don't have to force it.
sit down with a textbook.
Let it happen naturally.
Exactly. But while creating this immersive environment is beneficial, they also acknowledge the value of structured learning
Okay.
through English classes,
Ah, yes, the classes.
whether that's online or in person.
Both good options.
What do you think about that?
I think for a lot of learners, having that structured environment
Yeah.
and guidance from a teacher can be really helpful.
Especially in those beginning stages.
It gives you a roadmap.
They mentioned platforms like italki and Reply
I know those, yeah.
for finding online lessons
Oh.
with native speakers.
Yeah, and they're usually pretty affordable too.
And don't forget about local resources.
Oh, right, like community colleges
They offer English courses.
for way cheaper
Exactly.
than those private language schools.
So no excuse not to start.
I love that. There's something for everyone.
Okay, so we talked about immersive environments, structured learning.
Yeah.
Now let's get into
What's next?
a classic learning tool.
Okay.
Flashcards.
The OG learning tool.
They might seem old school,
Yeah,
but they're so effective
they really are.
for memorizing vocabulary and phrases.
They work.
So it's all about repetition and active recall.
Trying to get your brain to work for it.
So you're forcing your brain to retrieve that information.
Exactly. And that strengthens those neural pathways.
It's like a workout for your memory.
I like that.
They suggest using apps like Anki or Quizlet,
Those are good ones.
or even creating your own flashcards.
You can get creative with it.
I love that feeling of accomplishment
Oh,
when I master a stack of flashcards.
it's like a mini victory.
It's a good feeling.
You feel good about yourself.
And don't underestimate the power of spaced repetition.
Oh, yeah, that's key.
So instead of cramming all at once,
Oh, no cramming.
you review those flashcards at increasing intervals.
It helps you remember better.
Moves that information
Yeah.
from short-term memory.
The long-term memory.
And while we're on the topic of vocabulary,
Yeah.
they emphasize exploring
Okay.
English idioms and slang.
Oh, this is where it gets fun.
This is the fun part.
Idioms are so tricky,
Right.
but they're so expressive.
It's like the spice of the language.
Yeah, they add color, they add personality.
You sound more like a native speaker,
You know, when you use them correctly.
but they can be tough to grasp.
Oh, for sure. Like sometimes they make no sense.
Totally. I remember the first time I heard someone say, kick the bucket.
Kick the bucket. What does that even mean?
I was so confused.
It means to die. Who came up with that?
Right.
But it's all part of the learning process.
Exactly.
You know, embrace those moments of confusion.
They make for good stories later.
That's true. You'll never forget them.
So, how do you suggest learners approach idioms and slang?
Immersion, I think, is key.
Okay.
Watch movies, listen to podcasts, you know.
Yeah.
Pay attention to how native speakers use those expressions.
In context.
Exactly.
It's like a treasure hunt.
I like that.
Discovering these little gems.
Yeah, and figuring out how to use them.
And figuring out how to use them yourself.
Yeah, that's the fun part.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to touch on two crucial points they emphasized.
Right.
Setting realistic goals and being patient.
Ooh, very important. Both of those.
Because language learning is a marathon,
Not a sprint.
not a sprint.
I think
Exactly.
people forget that.
And it's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of starting something new.
Oh, for sure. You're motivated, you're excited,
And you set these unrealistic expectations.
and then you get discouraged.
That's where those small, achievable goals come in.
Exactly.
So instead of like,
You-
I'm going to be fluent in a month,
yeah, that's not realistic.
focus on mastering a few new phrases each week.
Okay.
Or having a short conversation in English every day.
Those are good goals.
It's about breaking down that big, daunting goal
Yeah, make it manageable.
into manageable steps
Exactly.
and then celebrating those mini victories
Oh, the mini victories are so important.
along the way.
They keep you motivated.
Because progress isn't always linear.
You're going to have ups and downs.
There will be days when you're like, am I even moving forward?
Am I getting worse?
Or even like regressing.
Yeah, it happens.
It's like those plateaus you hit
Oh, like in the gym.
when you're working out.
You're putting in the work, but you're not seeing results.
But it's part of the process.
It is.
So don't get discouraged.
Trust the process.
Trust the process, be consistent, and most importantly,
Yeah.
be kind to yourself.
You got to be your own cheerleader.
Language learning is a journey,
It's a journey, not a race.
and it's meant to be enjoyed.
Exactly. If you're not enjoying it, you're doing it wrong.
Embrace those ups and downs, and remember that every step,
Every step counts.
no matter how small,
No matter how small,
is a step in the right direction.
you're making progress. You know, it's like building a house. You wouldn't expect to have this like finished masterpiece after just laying the first brick.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. And they actually give some really practical tips in the podcast
Okay.
for like how to make language learning part of your daily routine.
That's what I need, some practical tips.
Yeah, so they suggest setting aside just 10 minutes each day for either reading or listening to a podcast.
I could do 10 minutes.
Right. It doesn't sound like a lot,
No.
but it's about consistency.
Yeah, consistency is key, right?
Exactly.
Like a little bit every day is better than
Yes,
like a huge chunk once a month or something.
100%. So it's really about finding those ways to integrate learning into your life without feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, because who has time for like hours of studying every day?
No one.
Not me.
So maybe you listen to a podcast during your commute.
Okay.
Maybe you read a few pages of a book before bed.
I like that.
It's about finding those little pockets of time
Yeah, the little moments throughout the day.
and turning them into learning opportunities.
Sneaky learning.
And you know what else they stressed? Celebrating every milestone,
Ooh, I like that.
no matter how small.
Yes. Celebrate the wins.
So learned a new phrase. Awesome.
Exactly. High five.
Had a short conversation in English. High five.
It's a big deal.
Right. Because it's amazing how much those little victories
Yeah.
can actually boost your motivation.
It's true. It's easy to focus on like how far you have to go,
Totally.
but you got to celebrate how far you've come.
100%. Okay, so before we move on,
Okay.
I wanted to do like a quick recap of the 15 methods we've discussed so far.
Let's do it. Refresh our memories.
Yeah, just to make sure it's all sinking in.
Get ready.
Okay, first up,
Yeah.
we talked about the power of passive learning through entertainment.
Right, like watching movies and TV shows,
Those English movies and TV shows.
listening to music.
Getting those catchy English tunes stuck in your head.
Exactly.
Those are great ways to immerse yourself in the language.
Without even realizing you're learning.
Yeah, your brain's just soaking it all up.
Like a sponge.
And then we moved into the realm of interactive learning tools.
Oh, yes, the apps.
Like Duolingo, Babbel, Memrise,
those are fun.
those gamified apps.
Yeah.
They offer a really fun and accessible way to learn basic vocabulary and grammar.
And they're perfect for like those bite-sized learning sessions.
Right, like when you only have 10 minutes.
Exactly.
Okay, and of course we can't forget about reading.
Reading. Essential
Both
books and articles.
Both important.
Expand your vocabulary. Improve your grammar.
Yeah.
Comprehension skills.
You're basically training your brain to think in English,
Yes.
which is the goal, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we talked about how crucial speaking practice is.
Yes. Gotta get those speaking muscles working.
Whether you find a language partner, join a conversation club,
Yep.
even practice talking to yourself in the mirror,
Hey, whatever works.
whatever works, right?
As long as you're speaking.
The key is to just get those words flowing.
Exactly.
Build that confidence.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes.
And remember, those online communities,
Oh yeah, the online communities are great.
they can provide a ton of support and motivation.
It's nice to know you're not alone in this journey.
There are other people who are struggling with the same things.
And celebrating those same victories.
Exactly.
Now remember the power of writing.
Yes, writing. Don't neglect writing.
Journaling, composing emails, even just jotting down your thoughts in English.
All good practice.
Those small acts of writing,
They add up.
they can really solidify your grasp of grammar, expand your vocabulary.
It's like working those writing muscles.
And we also dug into some more like strategic techniques.
Oh, right, like the phrases.
Like learning phrases instead of words.
Yeah, that was a good
And
one.
using tools like Forvo and Youglish. to practice your pronunciation.
Technology can be so helpful.
It's amazing how technology can aid the learning process.
It really is. Makes things so much easier.
And speaking of embracing technology,
Okay.
we talked about creating an immersive English environment.
Ah, yes, immersion.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with the language.
Changing your phone settings,
Ah.
listening to podcasts, surrounding yourself with the language as much as possible.
It's like creating your own little English bubble.
Exactly.
It's a great way to learn passively.
And we can't forget about those English classes.
Ah, yes, the structured learning approach.
Whether it's online or in person,
Both good options.
they provide that roadmap.
Yeah, like a structured curriculum.
Address specific needs
If you have, like, certain areas you want to focus on.
and offer guidance from those experienced teachers.
And flashcards.
Oh, yes. Flashcards.
Still a great tool,
As old school as they seem,
even in this digital age.
they're fantastic
They work.
for memorizing vocabulary and phrases.
Repetition, repetition, repetition.
And then exploring those quirky
Okay.
English idioms and slang.
That's the fun part.
It's the spice.
It's where you can really start to sound more natural.
Yeah, add some personality to your language.
Exactly. It's like adding flavor to your food.
And last but not least,
Okay, the grand finale.
setting realistic goals.
Important.
Being patient with yourself.
Even more important.
And celebrating all those victories along the way.
Yes. All those little wings.
So remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
You're not going to learn English overnight.
Exactly.
It takes time, it takes effort.
And the journey itself is just as important as the destination.
I love that. It's about enjoying the process.
So we covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We did.
It's fascinating how many different paths
Yeah.
there are to learning English.
So many options.
And they all have their own strengths,
Mhm.
their own advantages.
Yeah.
So there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly.
What matters most is finding those methods that resonate with you,
That work for you.
that spark your curiosity,
Yeah, that make you excited to learn.
and that make you excited to learn.
So
Yeah.
out of all these methods we've talked about,
Yeah.
what's standing out to you?
Yeah. What's resonating with you?
Like which ones feel particularly relevant to your own learning goals?
Or maybe sparked a new sense of curiosity.
I'd love to know.
And even more importantly,
Okay.
what's one small, concrete step
Yeah.
you could take today
Like right now.
to put one of these tips into practice?
Actionable steps.
So maybe it's downloading a language learning app.
Okay.
Maybe it's finding an English book at the library.
Good idea.
Maybe it's changing your phone settings to English.
Oh, that's a good one.
Every step counts.
No matter how small.
Remember, the key is to just start somewhere.
Start some way.
Take action, be consistent, and embrace the journey.
It's all about the journey.
So, as you continue to learn and grow,
Yeah.
I want you to consider this.
Okay.
What are you most excited about being able to do
Yeah.
once you've achieved a higher level of fluency?
That's a good question.
What doors do you see opening up for you?
Yeah. Think about the possibilities.
Hold on to that vision.
Yeah.
Let it fuel your passion.
Let it motivate you.
And remember,
Yeah.
learning English,
It's more than just a skill.
it's not just acquiring a skill.
It's about expanding your world
It's about connecting
with new people,
with new people
new cultures.
and unlocking a universe of possibilities.
It's like gaining a superpower.
So as you embark on this incredible adventure,
Yeah.
remember
Be curious.
to be curious
Be persistent.
and, most importantly,
Have fun.
have fun along the way.
Because if you're not having fun, what's the point?
So true.
Learning should be enjoyable.
Now, we've covered a lot of ground today,
A lot of great information.
but I want to leave you
Okay.
with one final thought-provoking question.
Right, Ibby.
So think about all these great techniques, right? Which one are you most excited to try out? Like, is it finally reading that English novel you've been putting off? Or maybe finding a language partner to practice with?
Well, and the best part is there's no like right or wrong answer,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
The cool thing about learning a language is that you can personalize the journey.
Yeah.
You can make your own path, you know?
Oh, totally.
Blend those methods that work best for you.
Yeah, it's like having like a toolbox
Ooh, I like that
full of tools.
Yeah.
And you choose which one to use
for the job.
depending on the task. Exactly.
You got it.
And, you know, it's
Yeah.
not about being perfect.
No, not at all.
It's about progress.
It's about those small wins.
Yeah.
You know, those moments when you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I get it now.
It's like a light bulb moment.
Yes, exactly.
And it's about embracing the stumbles along the way,
the mistakes,
the mistakes, yeah.
the frustration.
Because those are all part of it.
Yeah, you can't have the good without the bad.
It's like learning to play an instrument.
Oh, yeah.
You don't expect to be, like,
A virtuoso.
a virtuoso overnight.
Exactly. It takes time.
You gotta practice.
Patience. Yeah.
But then you can create something beautiful.
And express yourself in a new way.
And with English,
Yeah.
it's not just an instrument.
It's a whole world.
You're gaining access to this whole world.
Of communication, of culture, of connection.
It's like opening a door to a whole new universe.
It really is.
It's pretty incredible to think about all the people you can connect with.
Yeah.
All the stories you can share.
Mhm.
The ideas you can explore.
All thanks to language.
All through language.
Pretty powerful stuff.
So, as you continue on your English learning journey,
Keep going.
remember,
Be curious.
be persistent,
Have fun.
and most importantly, have fun.
And never lose sight of that vision.
Yes.
You know, that feeling of accomplishment.
What you're working towards.
You got this.
So, we've reached the end of our deep dive today,
It's been a journey.
but your journey's just beginning.
The real journey starts now.
We're so excited for you and all the amazing things you're going to achieve
You're going to do great things.
as you unlock the power of the English language.
Happy learning.
Happy learning.